Hey everyone, it's Denise Brown from the Caregiving Years Training Academy. Thank you so much for joining me. This is the 8th webinar in a special series called Healing Our Caregiving Fatigues. And today we're going to look at grace fatigue. And I think of grace fatigue as, just this pressure to be gracious to systems or individuals who just are difficult. But we are gracious because we have to, for some reason, maintain the relationship. So it could be gracious to a staff member at a long-term care facility, and you are gracious to them because it's important for you to have a good relationship with the facility, even if this particular staff member just makes you crazy. Or it could even be a process or a policy that a facility or a system has, and you are gracious about it, even though it makes your life really tough, because you want to have a good relationship with individuals within that system. So let's take a closer look at what we can do when we are graced out, when we are tired of being gracious, and yet we are called on to be gracious again. So what do we do? So think about all the individuals that you encounter throughout your day who might should on you. You should, or might minimize the experience. You worry too much. You do too much. Or just create a judgment around what we do and how we do it. I don't think that's the right way to do it, you might hear. Or they may be the individuals within your family system who create a mess that you clean up. They also might be those family members that create a ton of drama that you feel like you are always trying to leave. And I think in particular in our family system, they are trying our last nerve, and yet we know we have to sit next to them or across from them at the holiday dinner table. So we might feel like we are tolerating what's intolerable only because we know what's coming. And it could be that what's coming is the holiday dinner. Okay. So as you think about who it is that requires so much grace from you, name them. And you could put their actual name, first name, for instance, on a piece of paper, or you could just name the relationship they have with you. So for instance, I have an older sibling who creates a mess and brings a lot of drama. And I clean up her mess and I navigate the drama. So it has lesser of an impact on my parents. I'm not sure how successful I am at that, but that's what happens. So I would name her. You might name a system, for instance, or a procedure or a process, or something that happens within your neighborhood that makes you crazy because it makes everything that much harder for you. So if you'd like, take a moment to name who it is that's exhausting your grace. Could be someone who exhausted your grace at Thanksgiving. It could be someone who's exhausting your grace as it relates to the next holiday you'll celebrate as a family. And I think it helps us understand who it is that really drains us so that we have a plan around how to manage that individual or that system. That way we're not just at their beck and call or feeling like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do about this individual. He or she brings so much drama. If you acknowledge that they are the maker of the drama, then you can think about, how do I manage this so it has less of an impact? And then let's think about how they exhaust our grace. And here are 5 ways individuals or systems might exhaust our grace. And I'm thinking of 5 today. However, I know that that is not an inclusive and exhaustive list. There might be more ways, but I wanted to give you some ideas about what you could think about in terms of how does your grace feel exhausted. So let's take a deeper dive into each of these 5 categories about what can happen when they exhaust our grace. Because ultimately what we want to do is heal. And I feel if I get specific about what is trying, what's exhausting me, what's wearing me out, then I have an opportunity to find healing. And that's what we want to do today. Okay, so let's think about a family member who might be just insensitive. They might be insensitive to how difficult the caregiving experience may be. They might be insensitive to a family member's diagnosis and sending you emails with these crazy cures that you know are crazy. It also could be someone who just says things that you think, wow, that's just so insensitive to where I am in my life, what my life is about right now, and what the values I hold in my life are right now. So you could use, for instance, the last holiday event as an inspiration to think about who says or does something insensitive, or you could think about who it is that you dread seeing at the next holiday event because they say such insensitive things. Okay, so what we're going to do is acknowledge that we have people in our life that are insensitive to us. So what we want to do is be sensitive to what we need. So think about it. What do you need? You might need understanding. So you could think about who could I go to who understands my values, my priorities, my life, my caregiving experience. You might need support. So who can you go to that offers you support? You might need relief. And I think about a caregiving experience as being something that is around our need for relief and our need for respite. And I think about relief as the ability to feel deeply about what hurts us so that we can heal. So someone who is insensitive is adding to your pain. So if you are sensitive to what you need, which could be relief from the grief you feel, the guilt you battle, the resentment that you flirt with, then you can think about, I need relief from those emotions. So what helps you get that relief? What do you need so you can feel relieved of the difficult emotions? So you might feel relief in solitude, in prayer, in meditation, during a walk, in a good book that just feels like it is so good you can't think of anything about what could happen next. So encountering someone who's insensitive now becomes this inspiration for you to be sensitive to what you need, and then to think about who or what helps you meet that need. Okay, so let's take a look at the next one. So we might feel judged by others in our life. Honestly, sometimes I think the healthcare system feels like this judgmental presence in my life. I helped my parents. My father had his bladder removed 6.5 years ago. I used to manage his ostomy care for the first couple of years Now, my mom manages it, if you can believe that. My parents are 90 and 87. And there was a time when my dad's skin was in horrible shape around his stoma, his new opening for urine output. And I did everything within my power. And I am not kidding you when I said I asked for help from 12 different nurses. Everyone I could think of, I asked for help. At this time, they were living in a retirement community. I had the nurse in the retirement community. They were receiving palliative care. I had the nurse practitioner through palliative care. They were receiving home health benefits. I had that nurse. I was asking everyone for help. And I thought I had it cleared up when we went for an appointment with his oncologist. And the ostomy nurse was there. They removed his ostomy bag and the skin was flaming red. And then it felt like it was this crisis. The ostomy nurse left, she came back, more people came, they looked, they talked, and then they started asking my dad these questions. And if you've been in the system long enough, you've heard these questions as well. Sir, what is your home environment like? What's your nutrition like? Who's helping you? And I just stood in this little exam room with the walls closing in on me thinking, oh my gosh, I am doing the worst job ever caring for my dad. So none of the healthcare professionals turned to me to ask any questions like who's supporting you, who's helping you. So I never was able to tell my story, but I just heard the ostomy nurse turn to me and say, you have to get his skin cleared up. Otherwise, this is a horrible situation. We cannot have this go on. I was like, oh my gosh, I know I've been just doing everything I could. Oh my gosh, asking for help from everyone. Honestly, it was 12 different nurses. And I just said, okay. Oh my gosh, I left that appointment with my father thinking, this is awful. This is awful. I'm doing such a terrible job. Ultimately, his general practitioner referred my dad to one more nurse who actually changed the situation for him. And she said, change the bag every other day rather than 5 days. And so the ostomy nurse at the oncologist had insisted that my dad have the same bag on for 5 days. Well, my dad's skin at 85 could not manage that. And that was the whole problem. So once he started changing his bag every couple of days, everything was fine. Okay, so you all have moments where you've stood in a small room that seems to get smaller because you feel so judged. So what we can do is give ourselves a forgiving verdict. So for what will you forgive yourself? When you feel judged, think about the need to be forgiven and that you yourself can forgive yourself. You can give yourself that gift. So as you think about that right now, for what will you forgive yourself? What's a situation or a circumstance that either the system put on you to be responsible for that is illogical, impossible, unrealistic, that you felt I am failing at this, knowing that there was no way to succeed. So what can you forgive yourself for? And I think in many ways, it's forgiving ourselves for just being human, for being tasked with, in many ways, creating a miracle every day. And it's just impossible. It's just impossible. So we can forgive ourselves for being human and for acknowledging that we're in an imperfect situation and that doing our best is the goal. We just have to do our best. Okay, so probably you have someone in your life who is a know-it-all. And the know-it-all will tell you, or lecture you about something that you actually know more about. So this is mansplaining, oftentimes is the term that's used, where you sit and you listen to someone tell you what you know better. I actually follow an expert on Twitter who wrote a book called The Death of Expertise. And he often shares on Twitter this insight around how the experts are overlooked. And oftentimes it's just average Joe who appoints himself the expert. And then for whatever reason, gets the limelight, the spotlight, and that only makes it worse. Okay, so you might have a know-it-all on social media. Maybe it's someone that you're connected with on Facebook, who when you post an update, shares a comment that you think, oh my gosh, they're gonna tell me all, all that they know, which really isn't nearly as much as I know. And I think of this too in a caregiving situation. If you have an experience that's a common one, you're caring for someone with dementia, for instance, you might have a really specific challenge. And what you might find is others just assume that your situation is exactly like theirs. And so they start telling you what to do when you know, but it's not applicable to my situation. It's just not. My situation is different. The availability of resources is different. The schedule of my day is different. The way my caree lives his or her life is different. Gosh, that really does exhaust us of grace. Okay. So when someone is inserting themselves in your life as a know-it-all, you can remind yourself how much you know. So you have a wisdom that you can tap into, and that wisdom can give you comfort, even if it's the wisdom of this person is a know-it-all, and I can ignore them. I can mute them. I can excuse myself. I can delete their email. I don't have to engage in a conversation with a know-it-all. I have a choice. And that wisdom is a wisdom that can give you comfort. So you have this inner wisdom that can help you when you encounter a know-it-all. It could be that you could smile and say thank you and then walk away. You also have a wisdom about your own situation that can be comforting to you. So it could be that you decide, I'm going to think about the know-it-alls as being helpful in their own way, and that I get to decide what help I want from them or how I use their help. I don't have to take it. And then you can have wisdom about your situation that can help you know what's the right thing for your situation. Just the insight that every situation is different gives me comfort, that people can't know all the moments leading up to this moment in my life. And all those past moments impact my moment right now, which is why sometimes when people give me advice, it is not appropriate because they cannot know everything that I've done before. In our certified caregiving consultant training, which is life coach training for those who want to work with family caregivers, we really focus in on, we are here to support and understand, not fix, and really not fix. Because oftentimes you feel like people are always trying to fix you, right? But they don't know everything there is to know about your situation. So their fix isn't going to be appropriate. And that's helpful wisdom to know. You don't have to be fixed. What you need is to be understood. And you can decide how much time you spend asking people to understand you. You can decide it's just a 30-second, it's not applicable in my situation, or it could be a longer, it's not applicable because my caree is 90, living in an apartment, and that just is not going to work in that environment. End of story. Okay, so think about the wisdom that you have that gives you comfort. Oh, okay. So I wish the drama was just on TV, but then it's always in our living rooms or in our kitchens. And so we have to manage this drama. So think about individuals in your life who you encounter that just have this ability to kick up the drama. And I think about drama as being noise in our life. It's a distraction, it's overwhelming, it hurts our ears. So rather than drama, what we want is peace and quiet. So if you have someone in the family that kicks up drama, think about how you can instead receive peace and quiet. So for instance, in the kitchen, you have a sibling who is arguing with another sibling about how to make the mashed potatoes. And you just think, oh my gosh, this is the stupidest argument I've ever heard. That's drama. And you can remove yourself to enjoy peace and quiet. Maybe that's the opportunity for you to step outside and get some fresh air. Look at the lights, the holiday lights, whatever it might be, whatever gives you peace and quiet. We've been talking really about your choice. And so when someone is dramatic, you have a choice about how you manage that drama. And the choice could be you simply don't engage. You are not a member of the audience. You are not a fellow player. You simply remove yourself. There could be times when you decide, I am actually intolerant of the drama, so I'm going to set the boundary. And it could be as simple as, Julie's our host this year. She gets to make mashed potatoes the way she wants. Leave her alone, whatever it might be. In my family, my older sister just is exhausting with the drama. And we have talked over the years about what is our boundary around that. And we are setting a much firmer boundary about it. It's harder for my mom. My mom wants to include her. My mom wants a relationship with her, and we appreciate that. We respect that. And my brother and my sister and I also know the impact on us. And we've decided we are no longer going to subject ourselves to that impact. So we have said, whatever you want to do with her is okay with us, but our boundary is we are done. We appreciate that's hurtful. We appreciate that is hard. And we have done everything within our power to engage her, to embrace her in the family, to keep her up to date, to welcome her in family events. And what we get in return is drama, hateful behavior. We're done. And that's how we have peace and quiet. The other pieces around this is you get to choose what that means for you today, what drama is and what peace and quiet is for you today. And that could change tomorrow. It could be a different kind of drama, and that could mean you have a different need for peace and quiet. You get to decide based on system, individual, circumstance, environment. Hopefully what this is just a framework that you adjust and tweak and use as appropriate. So I want to offer another tool for you, and that's a daily healing plan. And it's this process that we can use to tap into what's the grief we're feeling now? What's the loss that hurts right now? And I think of it as a 3-step process. We're healing through something that hurts, a loss, a situation, a change, a difference, an experience. We can heal with support, options, comfort, a walk, a good night's sleep, whatever it might be. We can think about different options. And then we can really position ourselves to think about, well, where am I healing to? And it could be peace, love, forgiveness, whatever it is that feels like, boy, that's a good place to land. That's where I want to go. So I'm going to acknowledge that I'm healing through something that hurts. I'm going to look to what helps me so that I go to a better place. So let's think about this process a little more specifically. So what are you healing through? It might be that you're healing through a change this holiday season, a loss, a transition, just something that feels painful to you. So acknowledge that loss. Think about, what are you healing through? And it could be disappointment, changes, difficulties, burnout, stress, worries, something that's ended. And I added weight gain because I think that is something we grieve. When we gain weight, we grieve for what we used to look like, and that's hard. You might be healing through all of these, and so what you would do is create a different plan for each one. And this is just a list of words that can inspire you to think about, what are you healing through? You might just say, I'm healing through the holiday season because I don't have it in me this year to celebrate. You could say, I'm healing through grace fatigue because I'm tired of being gracious. So your prompt then is, I am healing through, and then you finish that prompt with a word or a phrase that describes what you're healing through. And again, you could have as many statements around what you're healing through as feels appropriate to you. And then we're going to think about, so what are we healing with? We don't have to be alone in this pain. We can receive what helps us. So you might be healing with movement, a walk, exercise, dance, a 7-minute app that you use for your workout. I like the idea of movement as healing. Yesterday, I was at a church guild meeting. So I joined my mom's church guild so that I can take her every month. And yesterday we had a priest from the church talk about his experience as a missionary in Mexico. And he talked about physical spirituality, which I thought was so interesting, and how in this particular area of Mexico that he lived, they had very specific rituals around Christmas that involved movement, running, walking. I thought that was fascinating. And he talked about this insight that he gained, that spirituality is more than prayer and, for instance, showing up at a church service or at your house of worship. It can include your actual physical movement. So you might decide that you take a walk, and as you walk, you say prayers. I think about my mom, who used to sit in the living room and say her rosary. And so that movement of her hands as she said the rosary, as she meditated really is what she did, is she said the rosary, was very comforting to her. The movement with her hands as she said her prayers. So you could think about, how do I move and connect to my spirituality? We can heal through words. We can talk it out with a life coach or a therapist or a support group. We can write it out in our journal. We can connect to others who understand. We can listen to music. That Taylor Swift has a new revised song out. Now, I'm not necessarily all that into Taylor Swift. I find her just fascinating as a creator. So I follow her more in terms of what's her creative outlet and what's her business. I haven't really listened to this song that's 10 minutes, but I read a New York Times profile of the song. And then I read the comments from individuals who had listened to that song. And it was interesting to read how others responded to this song by crying. It was a release of tears, by just the appreciation of something they felt was so beautiful. So listening to that song provided this healing opportunity for the listeners. You'll have songs too that will comfort you, release you. Prayer, Solitude. I think of essential oils just because it gives me something to do when I diffuse my essential oils. You could heal with boundaries. You could say, okay, that's enough. I've had enough of that, and I'm setting a boundary. You could heal with rituals, with adjustments in your day. There's opportunities for you to heal, and these are just some of them. And what you're going to do with your daily healing plan is pay attention to what helps you heal, and that's a strategy. And you keep track of your strategies because you can mix and match your strategies based on what you're healing through. So the goal is that you have all these options. So when you hurt, you don't feel at a loss. You instead decide, I'm going to look at my options. I'm going to think about what are the strategies that help me heal, and I'm going to pick one and try it. So the prompt for you to think of is, I am healing with music, solitude, a walk, good company, fresh fruit. Sometimes I feel better if I have something fresh, like fresh fruit. Whatever it is that works for you. And again, keep track of the strategies you use so that you have a strategy you can use when you need it. You have options. You have a menu of strategies you can pick from. So then let's think about, what are you healing to? You might be healing to peace, peace of mind, comfort, forgiveness, the acceptance, the acknowledgement that this is as it is. You might heal to new ways. So during the holiday season, you might find new traditions that are helpful. You might heal to letting go. You might think, I've done everything I can in this situation to improve it. I'm simply going to let go. And you might be healing to love, just deciding, I have family members who are difficult, and they make me crazy, and I'm just going to love them from a distance. So when you think about healing from grace fatigue, it could be that you decide, these family members make me crazy, so I'm going to limit my time with them just for this holiday season, and I'm going to love them from afar. So rather than being present with them and resenting them, you just decide, you know what, this year I think it's better if I keep my distance, and that will allow me to love them. I will love them from afar. So then the prompt is, I'm healing too, and you fill in the blank with words or phrases, or a paragraph, whatever it is. You might have this whole idea of where you're healing to, and it could be a paragraph, and that's okay too. So let's take a look at how this could work. Okay, so there's a family member that makes an insensitive comment at the holiday dinner table, and you just feel like, oh, that stung. Wow, does that hurt? So the process is, I am healing through insensitivity with words to be assertive. And then you decide, I am going to have words ready for the next time. And your words could simply be, wow, that hurt. I'm going to just step outside for a minute. We often feel just shocked when someone says something that's insensitive. If you have words that are ready, you feel more in control of the circumstance. I think sometimes we feel like a doormat because we're so shocked, which leaves us tongue-tied. So if you have words ready for the next time, just a couple simple statements, you feel like, I'm assertive, I'm standing up for myself, I am standing in my power. So we've been talking about how to manage what feels like it takes away from you. So we have grace fatigue because we feel like someone is taking from us patience, opportunities, chances, a peaceful holiday meal. It feels like someone is taking from us, and yet we have to be gracious. So let's now focus on what you have. So here are your blessings. So you are blessed with this compassionate sensitivity to another's need. That's a very unusual gift. You are also blessed with this amazing ability to release judgment. You are blessed with incredible wisdom. Because of your personal caregiving experience, you have insights into life that are treasures. You understand the meaning and purpose of life that others can't. In addition, you are blessed with this ability to walk around a waste of time. So if you think about that fight in the kitchen over whether or not someone should add heavy cream or 2% milk into a pot of mashed potatoes, you can say, well, that's a waste of time, and just walk away, because you know the importance of time. A personal caregiving experience means that you understand time is finite. It is limited, which makes you really respect how you use your time. And that is another blessing, because you have this knowledge of time and how to use it effectively. And drama isn't an effective use of time. Arguing with a know-it-all isn't an effective use of time. Tolerating what's intolerable is not an effective use of time. Okay, so because you are blessed, you can choose to limit time with those who will take away your blessings. So someone who tries to lecture you makes an assumption that you need what you already have. And so you can limit time with someone like that. You don't have to grin and bear it. You can say, I know, and then move on. And I think what's really ultimately important to remember is, because you are blessed, you want to protect those blessings. And I have found that really being deliberate in how and with whom we spend our time protects our blessings. You might not be able to eliminate insensitive Uncle Joe from your holiday event, but you can limit your interaction with him without apologizing or explaining. You can limit your interactions with him on Facebook. You can mute him. You don't have to endure it, right? We want to protect what blesses us, and we do that when we protect our time. Okay, thank you so much for being with me today. I hope you found this helpful, and I hope you found healing that will help you feel like you always have the graciousness of what you want to bring into the world. Because I do think that grace is another blessing that we have, our ability to be gracious. And we want to protect it by ensuring the wrong people don't take it from us, and instead the right people receive it from us. Okay, thank you so much. Bye-bye.